folks, thanks for tuning in. You know, we're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it means it's time for another edition of the Rec Poker Podcast. This is the Chats edition of the show where every week we interview a luminary from the poker world. We're going to get into our interview with Jason Su in just a moment. But first, I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and Mark Prashant over there at website AMP. Of course, I also have to thank our premium members. So I don't know if you're listening to this and you don't know what Rec Poker is all about. We are a largely volunteer-based, free community. Most of what we do here is free, but we really rely on our sponsors and we rely on our premium members. These are the folks that have decided to step beyond the free training material and social stuff that we do here every month and take the plunge both to help support us and keep the lights on around here, but also to unlock that amazing strategy content, the discussion groups, the study groups, the book studies, the behind the scenes clips that we get to view from other premium training sites through our Learning with Partners program. And it's all only $15 a month. So we got a new premium member this week, Rich Deakins. Rich joined from the frozen north. I won't dox you, Rich, but it's pretty far north, and it's pretty cold right now. And we're very grateful to have your support. That $15 a month means a lot to us. And I know you've been enjoying the home games recently, and we've done some emailing back and forth about getting the most out of the website. So I'm glad to see that you're enjoying yourself and that you are taking the plunge. So like I said, I thanked the sponsors. I thanked our premium members, our community members. It can just show up anytime to rec.poker and sign up for a free account. So thank you for doing that. We're so close to hitting 1,000. I think we're at 996 today. I really want to hit 1,000 before the end of the year. So if you're listening to this, it's coming out in the second week of December. Give us a try for free. It's free. Give us a try. Come on over, rec.poker, sign up for a free account there. And lucky member 1,000 should get something cool, right? I don't know what it'll be, but we should do something fun. But the real engine that drives everything at Rec Poker is the Wrecking Crew. My name's Jim Reid. They give me the mic on Mondays, but I'm just one of the crew members here. We are Legion. There are dozens of us, and without the Wrecking Crew, we really couldn't get anything done here. So if you want to find out more about me and the rest of the Wrecking Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew, or you can just listen up, and you're about to hear from a few of them right now in alphabetical order by first name.
With that being said, I'm Ben Enslow, with the Bees. Sorry, Chris. BJM96 on Twitch. You guys can find my socials there, and I'm East Coast Bitter in the home game.
And I have been demoted to second in the order. I am Chris Jones, 5x5 on Twitter, or 5x5 on the PokerStars home game and 5b5 on Twitter.
Well, I want you to know, Chris, that's actually a promotion because the later you go, the better it is. Anyway, my name is John Somsky, and I am Poker Geek MN everywhere.
And I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Rabman50 just about everywhere.
Right on. Well, that's the members of the Wrecking Crew that are here tonight. Roasted, says Ben. That's right, exactly. And so it's every Monday night we're here on YouTube. We do a prize at the end of the show. A little later on, we'll ask people to start typing the words food bank into the chat, and that's how we'll figure out who's going to win our prize this week. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome back to the show Jason Seuss. Jason, thanks for coming back, and I can't wait to find out what you've been getting up to in the last little while.
Yeah, great to see you guys. And first time anyone's ever called me a luminary of anything. So I'm going to just enjoy that and take that one in. It's a big moment for sure.
There, I'm glad you had some time to really just bask in that and absorb it.
Yeah.
You know, you only peak once in life.
Oh,
yeah. It's amazing.
So that could have been it. That could have been it.
Well, you're a great person to talk to when it comes to perspective and sort of where you are in life and what's important. Now that you've kind of climbed the highest, tallest mountain in all of poker by the Luminary Peerage badge, it's been great. We actually talk about mindset and mental game and achieving peak performance a lot here on the show.
Yeah.
But for us, it kind of means something different than for professional poker players. We're all recreational players. We play in different stakes. I think the winning and losing of it matters a little less to us. When we were talking just before we started going live here, you said something about how the mental game is approached differently from recreational players and professionals. Maybe that's a good place to start. Can you just talk a little bit about sort of like the work that you do with some of the top level poker players out there?
Yeah, so almost everyone I work with personally is a professional poker player, or some kind of high-end CEO or something to that nature, right? And these are people who have really big goals and really big dreams, and really identify strongly how they feel about themselves with how things are going in terms of the success or lack of success in poker or in business. And so when spending lots of time with people, trying to help them kind of break that connection and to just feel good about themselves, regardless of whether things are going well or not. It's a refreshing change of pace to come hang out with folks who are just like, yeah, I'm literally just here because I love the game and no other reason. Like, yeah, it's great to win and make money because it lets me feel like I'm using my mind in a different way, and that's super awesome. But at the core of it, like, I'm literally here because I just love poker, and I love that. And because that's kind of where I'm at now, because the business keeps me pretty busy these days. And so when I do play, it's like there's only one reason I'm going to play poker now, is because I just am super excited to play and can't wait to get out there. Yeah.
That's a great answer. So what, and I mean, we just love talking to people who love poker. I don't know if that comes across in the show at all, but when you do get a chance to play, talk a little bit about that. Like what parts of poker excite you? You've been through so much of the poker world. What are the parts that still get you going?
Yeah, so to me, it's almost like circled back to the very beginning, where at the beginning I knew I wasn't like an expert at the game, but I knew that I just loved kind of being out in the field and competing as hard as I could and paying attention and using my own kind of personal strengths as a human to kind of make reads and trust my instincts and really just emphasize all of that stuff. And it's kind of gone back to that, especially in this last year, as I literally don't study poker at all anymore. And so, in the 15 years before, I started this coaching that I'm doing now. It was just like studying poker all the time, right? And so now it's almost like back to the beginning of like the knowledge is still in there, but it just kind of gets to come out in a different way, which is kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And you've seen and worked with players sort of at every level as you've risen to prominence yourself within the industry. What are some of the kind of common problems that established professional poker players have that you can help them with? And then we'll talk a little bit about sort of how that might look for more recreational players.
Yeah, the big problem is that if you want to be a high level winning professional poker player, you need to accrue lots of knowledge, right? So that is like essential. But then the problem becomes when you're actually playing the game, do you get too tied up in this kind of aspect of like, I need to do it right. I need to like do it exactly how I studied. I need to do it in a way that's like solver approved. That's the kind of the term that people throw around now. And so now it's almost like people who have lots of knowledge are constantly just like looking over their shoulder to just like make sure that what they're doing is going to be like accepted by other people and not like mocked or made fun of. And so a lot of people have kind of lost that just gut killer instinct feel part of the game that was super prominent when I started playing 20 years ago. That was like all anyone had. We were all terrible at poker, but we all had kind of this thing that we could do of like, I'm here to compete and I'm just going to like trust that I'm good enough. Like my best is good enough. And now there's just so many people out there who study and study and study, but no matter how much they study, they always feel like their best is not enough and that they have to be validated by somebody else. And that really keeps you from playing your game in the hands that really matter, right? And you end up kind of doing what you think somebody else would do and not doing what you genuinely feel is best in this moment. And you lose a lot of power in that.
And I think especially for pros, the issue is that validation, that can only really come from results, or maybe that's not true. It seems to us as the outsiders that the only credentialing that occurs in poker is through like winning large prestigious events. How true is that? And sort of as you're talking to pros, how do they consider like their own excellence? Like how do they gauge whether they're succeeding or failing or whether they've, crossed that line into being one of the big names in poker, or is it simply tied to, did you final table a main event?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that kind of depends on if somebody's worked with me or not, because I would say like almost everybody who's playing for a living does exactly that. It's like, okay, I'm going to feel good about myself when I win that big tournament, when I break through to the next level, when I move up to the next stakes and I'm winning there. That's when I'm going to let myself feel good. But that makes you needy, right? And when you're needy, you can't actually be the version of you that's going to get what you want. Same deal in anything else. If you need to close the business deal to feel good about yourself, you're not going to get the deal. If you need someone who you're attracted to like you in order to like yourself, well, they're not going to like you first, right? And so it really has to go the other way. And so much of the work I do is kind of unwinding that pattern and getting people more to the point of like, okay, win or lose, I'm going to be able to feel like compassion and love and happy with who I am and what I'm up to. And then ironically, that's when, the big scores come.
Yeah,
I believe it. Chris, did you have something there?
Well, yeah, I kind of want to just jump off that a little bit and ask a little bit about, you mentioned the pros that you work with and like this kind of like, they're building up their game. They're studying all the time. They have this sense of like, I've got to play solver approved, or at least play some certain way or play well. But I got to imagine that with that comes this sense of when you arrive at a table and, and maybe as even sort of studied recreational players, we can sometimes experience this, probably not to the level they can, but like where we understand that we're the best player at the table, or we're one of the more at least studied or skilled people at the table. But with that, there comes this like set of expectations, maybe ourselves or externally on us to like do well there. And as we know, poker is a game that doesn't always cooperate with those intentions or with those expectations. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if that's how do you help people sort of balance those kinds of ideas between the knowledge base that it takes to get good at this game versus the variance part that really gets in the way of like who the best player is at a table?
Yeah, accepting variance is just like so mind-blowing, right? Because the human mind is not really wired to really accept it. And so that's just like kind of a lifelong practice. And no matter what level you're at, there's almost always somebody who's like a little bit above you, and there's almost always somebody who's like a little bit below you. And so there's different emotional responses that come from, oh, okay, the player, oh, he's definitely better than me. So now I'm experiencing fear, and maybe I'm going to have to do this and try that. And oh, now I'm not playing my game. Right. Versus, oh, this person's, oh, they're definitely worse than me. Like I'm just going to like run over this guy and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And also overconfident and not really like feeling that level of just like groundedness and centeredness of just like, I'm here to play my game. And both situations end up with people just like not playing the way that you would ideally like to play if you're just present and connected and relaxed and enjoying being exactly where you are.
Well, I've got a ton of questions here, but if anyone else on the panel wants to ask Jason, just unmute and I'll call on you. And if anyone watching live on YouTube, like we do every Monday at 7:30 Eastern, feel free to just type your questions in the chat there. Actually, I should say now we're actually not going to do a show on December 26th. I should just remind myself to say every week on YouTube, except on Boxing Day, December 26th this year, we will not be doing a show. So don't show up for that one. Or if you do, just watch some other fun YouTube videos instead. Okay. So one thing that I talk to a lot of recreational players, we talk about mindset. And actually, let me back up one sec here, Jason. So I've talked about sort of mindset, mindfulness, presence, mental game. What are the kind of words that you would like to use to describe this art or science that you practice, your area of expertise? Maybe I should let you kind of describe it for our audience here.
So the words you can use are they're all kind of similar, and to me they all kind of resemble the same feeling, right? You could call it connection, flow, presence, in the zone, right? Mindfulness. You can call them whatever you want, but they all kind of take us back to a certain experience of feeling of like, okay, I know it when I'm in it. It doesn't matter what exact word I use. Personally, I like to use presence because I sell more books that way, and
Guess in the title,
people kind of associate me with that word more often than others. So I'll tend to use that one a little bit more than the rest, but really, they're all kind of trending in the same direction of like anything that evokes the feeling inside you of like, oh, I know what that is, when I'm just like there and playing and I'm just like cruising and crushing, and so yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, that feels to me like I would say like being in flow or being in the zone, like you say.
Yeah.
Like I think folks that were athletic earlier in their lives, like me, now at this point,
Yes.
sort of poker is where I get to compete. That feeling of kind of just like knowing what was going to happen next, sort of just being plugged into the game that I was playing. That's something that I also feel in poker, and I think when we, especially the more experienced players. We can be like watching a table, even with cards down, and we can kind of predict the action. Well, this guy's going to check here, and then this guy's going to bet, 1/3 pot. And it's not because we have any super secret powers or anything. It's just that our brains have gotten good at analyzing the information that's available and kind of telling us this little shorthand of how it often will go. No, we're not right all the time, but you can sort of start making some educated guesses. So I guess my question for you, Jason, is how much of that comes down to just being steeped in it, and being so sort of, what would you say, subconsciously competent, and how much of it is kind of training our brains to analyze that stuff more effectively or efficiently, or just like how we think about poker differently?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'll say that there's two parts to it. And one is that like the brain training comes away from the table. You study, you talk about hands with your friends, you read about hands online, or you watch videos or listen to podcasts, what you like. That's the training of the pattern recognition away from the table. But where it gets tricky is like, well, what do you do at the table? And to me, that's where like the whole goal is to just like forget everything you learned. Right. When you sit down to play, just forget it all and see if you can just kind of settle into that zone, flow, presence state. Because I will challenge one thing you said, where you said like it was not like we have superpowers, but I actually think that like everybody does kind of have superpowers in terms of your subconscious's ability to just like recognize stuff that your conscious mind is not going to catch in real time. And so it really is just a matter of getting out of your own way so that you can let that knowledge and awareness of just like, ooh, that light bulb moment of like, oh man, this would be so awesome right now, to just let that come through. But when you're so busy in your head trying to like figure out the perfect play and just like work it all out analytically, there's no room for that subconscious knowledge to just like come through and inform you of what might be a better option. Right. So much of it is just like, how do we get out of our own way so that it can all just like, we can just let it happen. Right.
I love that. Yeah. I think about golf sometimes when I think about this, when I talk about this. My dad always told me, go to the driving range, and that's where you practice, and that's where you drill. That's where you think about the mechanics. Go get that out of the way on the driving range. And then once you step up to the first tee, you just got to let all that go and go play golf, and just like be natural and get out of your own head. That's not the place to practice. That's the place to play. And it feels like poker is similar in the sense that you practice off the felt, and then when you're in the game, you're just trying to capture that flow, right?
Yeah. They're both so similar. There's a reason why so many poker players play golf and vice versa, right? And why there's so much gambling on the golf course, because it's such a mental exercise, and like, let's see who can get out of their own way and just play, right? It's like, this is a game to be played, not a game to be like overthought and trying super hard. And a lot of what poker has become is this like exercise in who can try the hardest and who can, manage themselves in the most, precise way. But I think it's coming back to where the highest performers are remembering now, like, this is a game to be played and to enjoy yourself and to feel free and loose and relaxed and good while you're out there. And that's what's going to let you kind of have those moments where you're like, oh, that was an amazing insight. I can't believe I found that play right there. Well, you didn't find it because you were trying to find it. It came to you because you were just kind of there and allowing it to.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that they have in common is, if you're too in your own head, you're trying to force things. You're like trying to apply things to the moment in front of you. Like another thing my dad always said was, the person who's going to win the golf game is the one who makes the fewer mistakes or the smaller mistakes. And that's a lot like poker too. It's not even a question about elevating your A game so much as just not being the player who makes as many mistakes or not having those mistakes just continue to get worse and worse.
Yeah. And side note, I'm actually terrible at golf. So there's that. But that's only because I have not had lessons. So and so just I literally have no idea of what is even proper. But someday I'll take some lessons and build up the knowledge away from the course to improve. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Well, give yourself some time. It is not a patient teacher. Yeah. Golf does not. It's not very rewarding right off off the bat. I'm sure Rob will agree with me there. Okay. So one of the things that people have asked me, we knew that you were coming on the show, and everyone was clamoring to get their questions in. The theme of the month this month is playing against limpers. And so Chris Jones has been putting together a whole suite of study material here at Rec Poker for our premium members. And I thought we could talk a little bit about mindset and sort of the mental game when we're faced with these positions, because recreational players, we're going to play in games where we face limpers more than pros. Sometimes I think we get kind of frustrated because these people aren't playing in a way that is decipherable to us or that makes sense to us. And we sort of feel like we're entitled to win these pots because we're better players than them. But they make these bad decisions, and that makes them hard to play against because we don't know, they could show up with anything. And that kind of, we get frustrated and that kind of thing. But we know we're better players than they are. Is that something that you think is sort of a common human experience? Is that something that how do you even start to untangle that from a standpoint of mental game?
Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts about that, and before I get into that, I'll say, well, after you get frustrated, are you still a better player than they are? That's a good question, right?
Jason Sue on the show. Yes, good question. I love it.
Yeah, good question to ask. Am I still better after I get upset about that in that moment? So so there's a couple of things. So one is like what you said is like, okay, we see people just start limping, and even if we don't have the actual thought, subconsciously we're already feeling the excitement. We're like, oh, okay, there's someone I'm better than, or okay, I'm better than this person, right? So we're immediately elevating ourselves above them, just off of that first action. So there's a certain expectation that starts to set up, like, okay, like I'm supposed to win, right? And so to remember that that doesn't actually mean that you're supposed to win. It just is what it is. Like they're just limping, and that's the only thing that's happened. That's not actual confirmation that I'm better at poker than them. It's not actual confirmation that I'm supposed to win. It doesn't give me permission to do anything I wouldn't ordinarily do. It's just, that's all it is, right? That's what's happened. And so to just notice, if you have that happen in you when you see limping, then you're already kind of setting yourself up to have that crash and to have that frustration when you don't win, because you've elevated yourself. So if that's what's happening, chances are that you're kind of doing that. And then the other thing that I think helps a lot is just having empathy for whoever is, the other person, right? Because when you can't understand somebody, that's when it's frustrating, right? But if you can understand the idea that, hey, if like I was who they were and I had the exact poker knowledge they had, I would do the exact same thing. Like I wouldn't be doing anything different than they're doing if I had their exact life experience that they've had up to now. I'd be limping too, right? So then you're also not any then now once again you're not any better than there. We're just trying to like remember that everybody's doing their best and everybody's human, and there is no like real better or worse on that level. And so when you have that and you can just like put yourself in their shoes a little bit and understand, it's like, okay, it's just is what it is. That frees you up to now look at your cards and say, okay, what do I want to do with this hand? And now you're not dragging all of that excess emotional baggage into the hand that can cloud your judgment on later streets, right? Because if you're already like, oh, this guy sucks, like I'm gonna I can't wait to get his money. And now you're on the river and they put you in a bit of a tough spot, but you're already in that frame of like, oh, this guy sucks. You can't actually think clearly and let yourself play well, in that river decision, which is worth way more than whatever pre-flop mistake that they're making, right?
But Jason, how can they call with 8-2? It makes my brain hurt. What is going on?
Yeah.
We just got to put that behind it. I mean, it's reminding ourselves that those are the kind of mistakes we want them to make. In the long run, that's part of it. So I like that. I like that answer a lot. Sort of empathy, and Lord knows we need enough of that right now in the world today. So what if I'm going to go a little harder then. So what if you are a better player than they are, and it's just you're not boasting or anything. It's just objectively speaking, you're a more experienced, savvier, more thoughtful, more studied player. I want us to be honest with ourselves. How do we approach that kind of situation where, again, being a better player doesn't entitle you to their chips or to win pots or anything like that? But can we sort of like be honest about that when it's true? And how do we not fool ourselves in those kind of moments?
Sure. Yeah. So, acknowledging that you're likely more skilled than somebody is totally legitimate if that's the case and you see very clearly. Attaching emotional significance to that is what's going to cloud your decision making, right? So if it's like, okay, I'm more skilled than him, and that means I'm like feeling good about myself as a result of that, that's what's going to get you in trouble. But if it's just like, oh yeah, like I think I'm more skilled than him, it's no big deal. It doesn't mean anything about me as a human or anything like that, because I feel good about myself anyways. I don't need that to feel good about myself. And then that's just another fact that goes on the record for you to, logically work through as you go through a hand or a session, right? And so it's totally fine to just say, I'm definitely have more skill. But let's go deeper, right? Like what does that mean? What adjustments do I want to make? Rather than like that's the end of it. Like I'm better, and so I don't have to think about it anymore, right?
Yeah, and I mean, listen, variance exists. I tell people, if you want to play a game where the better player always wins, just take chess up and stop playing poker, because you're not going to have that experience playing poker, particularly not tournament poker.
Yeah, I used to do this thing I played a lot of limit poker in my life. And so I used to do this thing where, and I played in some loose, soft games where, 5 people are going to limp in and then I get pocket aces on the button. And it's like, okay, this is great. And then, but my experience tells me it's like, okay, yeah, I'm probably going to win this pot like 40% of the time. So I just like kind of had that awareness and take a breath and just feel the truth of that. And okay, now let's play. Right. So I have that kind of knowledge that like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to win so much money. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to win this pot like 40% of the time. All right, now let's play. And I found that actually like settled me quite often. It was to just give a as accurate as possible kind of description of what's coming. And so you could do the same if like, somebody limps and you ISO with ace king. You can say, okay, yeah, I'm probably going to win this pot. Like if it's no limit, maybe 2/3 of the time or something like that. Okay, let's proceed. And that kind of frames your expectations in a way that doesn't kind of shock you when you don't win.
I love that. We've talked about Stoic philosophy on the show here before, and kind of like managing your expectations to be more in line with reality is a key part of that. It sounds like that's also a key part of what you're working on. And in order to do that, you need to understand reality and yourself pretty well. And then you need to have your expectations kind of align with what is most likely to be the case. Is that a fair approximation?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was huge for me. And as a primarily cash game player, when I was deciding if I wanted to play tournaments or not, and facing into the reality of like, okay, this tournament's, 1,500, most likely outcome is I lose somewhere between 1 to 2 buy-ins. Okay, if I'm cool with that, then I'm in a good kind of frame of mind to go play, right? If not, then I'll do something else.
Yep. Yeah. And tournament players, you're gonna lose. You're gonna go home with nothing. Like 85% of the time, they only pay the top 15% of the field. So losing is something you really have to get used to.
Yeah. So you just gotta like totally accept that before you even start. Of like, okay, and same deal with like before you go play a cash session. It's like, okay, yeah, this is one of the bottom outcomes. If that upsets me or agitates me, I should either spend some time kind of processing that feeling, or just like not go, because that outcome is going to find you a lot more often than you think when you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, that's right. And you can tell just from this conversation how important like bankroll management and playing the stakes that are appropriate for you come in. You're going to feel tight and attached to the results a lot more if you're playing kind of above your weight and you can't afford to lose. So recreational players, when we talk about mindset and mental game, I think they make a big mistake. And they say that, well, I'm not a professional player. I don't need to worry that much about mindfulness or mindset or playing my A game, because I just need to sort of master the fundamentals instead and work on poker strategy. And I just think that the more advanced you get in poker, the smaller the available gains get in every type of study or discipline that you're following up on. If you're going to compete at the very top levels, the people are making very few mistakes, and those mistakes are very small. So you need to work on making your small mistakes even smaller. Here at the bottom of the pyramid, we've got huge leaks. We've got huge gains available to us. There's all this low-hanging fruit that we could scoop up just from here and make some real improvements. I think the fact that we're recreational players just means that we've got a lot to learn about mental gain, and we can probably make some huge gains right off the bat. What are some of the sort of common issues or problems that less experienced recreational players have that you feel like just changing their mindset or thinking more thoughtfully about this part of the game might unlock some hidden excellence inside them that they're missing right now?
Number one, as you were talking, I was just like, oh, it's so clear what it is just like belief, right? Do you genuinely believe and feel that, okay, if I sat down with anybody, doesn't matter who, and I played my best that day, that I could beat anybody, right? I think that, because of variance, like variance is your friend when you're the rec player, right? And you're playing against people who are better than you. And so what you've got to do is not let the fact that somebody's operating a higher level of knowledge kind of let you lose before the game has even started, right? And because if you sit down and Phil Ivey sits down next to you, you're like, oh my God, right? This is just, I'm screwed, right? And I'll admit, even I probably would have some initial wave of a feeling of that. But can you get yourself to a point of saying, okay, like, this person's better than me, but like, I believe that my best today is good enough. And if I can do that, like, anything's possible. I could win this whole tournament if I play my best. It doesn't mean that like I'm a favorite or that I'm definitely going to, but you need to believe that you can do it, right? That what you have right now today is enough, that you're not waiting to like, okay, when I learn more, when I hire this guy as a coach, when I watch this video, once I shore this up, then I will feel like I'm ready, because that game never ends. Because once you have that one, you'll just find another excuse to not believe in yourself, right? So right off the bat, can you just like decide that, hey, like, here I am, and I believe that if I play my best, like, it's possible. I could take this tournament down. If you don't have that, don't play, right? You got to have that in you before you even show up. Otherwise, you can't win, because you will find a way to sabotage yourself if you don't have that belief. If you get down to the final table, you will find a way to like do something stupid that you later regret, acting from that place of like, I just don't believe it's possible. And so you'll make that happen.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why places like Rec Poker are so important to come, practice for free, learn for free, play in our home games, compete with other people where the stakes are low, make those mistakes, gain some confidence. And, poker is a game where it takes reps. You got to be in that position before to know how it feels, to know that you're going to be able to pull the trigger on that combo draw, that you want to pull the check raise on. If you're kind of playing for real stakes for the first time when you're in those positions, it's going to be harder to do. And you're not going to have that confidence, that belief that Jason's talking about. So I think that's really, really valuable advice. So Poker with Presence, it's a course, it's a book. You've done a lot of one-on-one coaching. What are you working on right now? I know we got the holidays coming up, and you said it's been kind of a busy year with the business. Is a lot of that
Yeah.
one-to-one coaching? Is a lot of that like putting new material together? What fills your days?
Yeah, it's kind of both. So, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and been making courses. And actually, like this year, I made a course that I was really proud of, and it applies not just to poker, but life as well. And the thing is that, like, the way most people do it when they come to me is we train how to be a more present, emotionally available, and just like happy person at the poker table so that they can experience it in life. But for other people, they like to do it the other way around. Well, what if we train you how to be all of those things in your life? What if we train you how to have total, access and connection to your emotions? What if you knew how to navigate difficult conversations? What if you knew exactly how to, set expectations and make agreements that everybody's happy with? Like if you have a spouse who's like not wanting to go play poker, but you want to go play poker, that type of stuff. How do you have these conversations and set up your life so that it supports you in being free and easy and not carrying any of that baggage onto the poker table? So, I made that course for people who want to have it in both, and so I was super excited because that one actually like had a lot more demand than I anticipated, because it's like, yeah, we're not just training it in poker. Like I want everybody who meets me and works with me to also have great relationships, right? To have a deep understanding of who they are in person, to be able to navigate the ups and downs of life, not just the ups and downs of poker. That's really what it's all about. If you can only do it at poker but not in life, I feel like I failed. So that's kind of something that I was pretty happy to put out this year. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, I mean, we talk all the time about how poker is a good corollary for life, and the lessons you learn in one apply in the other. I'm a big believer in that. I've certainly become a better person through understanding poker better, whether it's risk tolerance or, risk reward analysis, understanding that I'm not entitled to win even when I've got pocket aces. There's lots of good lessons there. Chris, did you have one more question? Then we'll let Jason roll on out of here.
Yeah, no, it actually comes from our audience. Charles asks on the YouTube chat, kind of going back to an answer you had earlier. How do you reconcile the belief that you can win as a rec player with the knowledge that you won't a good proportion of the time? So how do you it's like this could happen, but it probably won't very much.
Yeah, well, the thing is that pros have to do that too, right? Like, especially playing tournaments, it's like, I could win, but I'm probably not. It's pretty much the same. Pros are not exempt from that either, and so it's really just reconciling, learning how to get comfortable with the feeling of losing, right? And letting yourself just be with it and be okay with it, and not translate that into like, oh, that means something about me. That means I'm not as whatever as I thought I was, right? So that's the real reconciliation, is like, how do I change my relationship to just losing and not getting what I hoped for in general? And when you get real healthy with that, then the poker thing will fall into place. But chances are, if you're doing that in poker, you're probably doing it in other parts of your life too. So it can be a worthwhile exploration in all aspects.
Great answer. And thanks, Charles, for a great question there too. I think a lot of people do struggle with that tension. So I hope some listeners found some value in that. Merv Harvey joins the chat. Hey, Merv, nice to hear from you all the way about as far from here as you can possibly be while still being on Mother Earth. Any tips for resetting between hands that you lose?
Yeah. So, breathing always helps. If you can just find some baseline of remembering to breathe, that's always step one. Anything else that you try to do, if you've stopped breathing, is not going to work, because that's kind of just the catalyst for everything. But if you're playing live, one thing that if you watched me play live, you would notice I probably get out of the chair more than like anybody in the world. That's probably like the only thing in poker that I'm number one in the world at, is like getting out of the chair times per hour, right? And so because if you get caught in the same posture for too long, your thought cycles start to kind of just go into this trance, into this loop that you might not want, right? So if you sit and you slump for too long, your thoughts are going to reflect the version of you that lives and and feels like this, right? So just changing your posture and breathing and finding some different point of awareness to like feel your body a little bit and maybe just look around the room so that your experience is not just stuck in this pain that you're feeling. If you kind of spread it out a little bit, look around, breathe, change your posture. I mean, that's like a really nice reset right off the bat.
Love it. Thanks, Merv. Thanks for tuning in. Merv Harvey from the Post Flop Poker Podcast, everybody.
Yeah.
One of my favorite podcasts back when they were putting them out on the regular. Merv's a great guy and a big supporter of Rec Poker too, so it's always nice to hear from him. All right. Well, Jason, if people want to get in touch with you, where's the best place for them to reach out to you personally, your home address, alarm code, that kind of thing? And then if they want to sort of learn from you or work with your material, what's the best place for them to go and get that information?
Yeah, so you can find me. Twitter's pretty easy. It's at Jason B. Sue. That's B as in boy. You can also email me, jason@pokerwithpresence.com. And then if you're not familiar with me and you want to kind of like get to know me a lot more, the easiest way to do that and also hear about all the ways that you could work with me is join my email list, which I send something out each day that I think provides some kind of insight or tip on how to perform at a higher level or how to just enjoy yourself at the game more and be more present. So for people that haven't heard of me too much, that's probably the easiest way to kind of get to know me really quickly, because I will email you every day. That's a promise. whether you like it or not, it's coming.
That's it. Well, I think we could all use a little positivity in our day and some actionable thoughts on how to improve our own flow and our own state of mind. So that sounds great. Thank you, Jason. Last question: is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
100%.
Okay, there you go. Jason Sue says Die Hard is. We're going to be asking all our guests that this month.
Yeah, so that's not even a question. Like,
it's definitely a Christmas movie. I'd like to just say about the email newsletter. I cannot believe that you can come up with this stuff every single day. It's amazing. I read it every day. I get it in my email. I read it every day, and I go, "Wow, how does he do this every single day?" He comes up with some analogy of real life and compares it to poker, and it's just like, wow, very good. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's always it's an honor that so many people read it every day. I'm like, wow, it's just amazing, and that's what keeps me going is knowing that people are really loving it and getting value out of it. And I just, the reason why I'm able to do it is because I legitimately couldn't think of anything else in the world I'd rather be doing with my time. And I've never had a day where I'm like, oh no, I have coaching calls today or anything like that. This is literally my dream job, and I couldn't be happier to put more time into it, like just all the time. And so everything in life to me is an opportunity to share with people who want to hear on this topic. And so that's why I'm able to come up with something every day.
No, what a great attitude. And I know we refer to Rob as our Zen master, so it's no surprise that he's already on the mailing list. And you've gotten some nice comments in the YouTube chat here as well. Some folks that love the podcast. Think you're doing great. Really appreciate the tips here. So you're making the world a better place, Jason. One listener at a time. That's all any of us can hope for, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's Jason Sue, everyone. Jason, we're going to roll on and talk about some home game results and some other cool stuff coming up in Rec Poker. But it was really great having you on the show. I wish you a happy holiday and a great start to 2023.
Yeah. I love you guys. Appreciate it so much, and all the best.
All right. Take care. So while we let Jason roll on out, we've got some exciting stuff coming up. I'll just tease. No, let's let John start talking about the home game results, and then I can interrupt him. There's something kind of more natural and proper about that. Oh, and John's on mute, so he's perfectly. But we're hitting every cliche.
Let's go.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
I just had to do it. Give everyone that joy one last time this year. And I wanted to mention that, of course, now is your time to put Food Bank into the chat for our roll, so that
there you go.
We can get that taken care of.
It's official.
Yeah,
that's the high side.
All right.
Let's
well,
see it.
Just so everyone who doesn't know what the home games are, Rec Poker has over 40 free to play home games tournaments each month. Yeah, I am reading this, and I am that bad. The first Wednesday of each month is the No Limit Hold'em series with the Player of the Year points race. The second Wednesday of each month is a mixed game series with the Player of the Year points race. Every other day of the month, there is one or more daily series events, including a monthly Tournament of Champions. If you want to compete again in the toughest online play money games around and have a chance to earn coveted Rec Poker pins, you can join the PokerStars Rec Poker Community Home Game Club. Check out Rec.Poker website for more information on how to join and all of the tournaments available. Also, be sure to update the extra tab in your Rec Poker profile if you want to have your real name announced on when you win a tournament. If you go to this part I don't have written down. If you go to the part to see the what do we call them? The Lifetime Achievement Awards. All of the winners will have their names up there. Now, I also have posted out what at the time of that posting you had listed for whether your name was private or public or first name, so you can double check in case you're not sure what you have there. And now, on with results. So
now,
first,
just before John gets into this here, I just want to point out that this Saturday, if you're listening to this live, you've got several days to get yourself ready. December 17th is the Heads Up Rec Poker quarterly match. So 3 times a year only, we do this Heads Up ladder tournament to prepare us for Marek Madness. Some of you might know it as March Madness, but it's Marek Madness. And what happens is John has set up a ladder Heads Up tournament in the same home game club that we play all our home games in. It's on Saturday the 17th. It's in the afternoon. It's at 2 p.m. Eastern, so that's 1 p.m. Central. And there can only be one winner, and that winner of each one of our quarterly Heads Up tournaments they'll win their way into Marek Madness in March. So that's the prize there. And I'll just mention for John, there is no late registration for this one. So sign up a little in advance and make sure you're in your seat, because if you're just a minute late, it'll be too late to win your way into Marek Madness. So come and beat some of the Wrecking Crew Heads Up. Awesome bragging rights are born in this tournament multiple times a year. So come make yourself the champion. That's it, John.
I was just waiting to see anything more. Okay, that's it. Yeah, silence. That is the best audio format listening there. Okay, December 7th, Be the Kid, Brian Morey won his very first No Limit Hold'em series tournament. So he has earned a bronze pin for that. And this is the first time he has ever played that series. He won it.
Wow.
That's good enough to get him into the Tournament of Champions for the No Limit Hold'em series that we'll be holding on the 21st.
Amazing. Yeah, good point. Nice.
Then December 5th, Tom's S 3219 Tom Stanley won his second nightly tournament of the year. John Lutzy got his third nightly tournament of the year.
That guy's a beast.
Uncle Tom's Cabin got his 7th nightly tournament of the year. Shamu 27140 Roger Lamp.
Yeah,
got his
Roger.
Nightly tournament of the year. Kate Ibbenson. That's 4K's number 8E, just so I was not stuttering.
That's Stu's mom. That's Stu Carriage's mom.
I did not know that.
Yep. There you go. So congratulations. Another series of Rec Poker familial winners. That's amazing. Wow. Way to go, Kate. I don't know if Kate's listening or not, but congratulations. She steals my chips routinely when we were at the same table. KKKK8. Oh, yeah, all the time. Way to go, Kate.
That's her second nightly tournament of the year.
Wow.
And then on December 10th, Evil Roy CA, David Westerveld.
Wow.
Got his third daily mixed series victory for the year. And that is his 44th lifetime victory. Remember, 50 is when you get the Lifetime Achievement Award. Ooh. Now, that should be noted that Niagara 44 has 5 tournaments. So they're neck and neck. It's going to be a race to see who can do it. And all I have to do is say, Megra had a pretty decent lead going up. So I think Dave here has the momentum and may just pull across that line sooner than anyone else.
Yeah, Doug Drabeck, Magra 44. Sorry to dox you there, Doug, but Doug's been a huge player for a long time. And I thought for sure he was just going to be the forever all-time champion of home games. But you can see Dave has the hot hand, man. This year he is on fire this year. So I'm really impressed that he's notched another win. And in the mixed games, no less. Those aren't easy to win either. So congratulations.
Well,
Dave.
And remember, only one player can be the first to win the Lifetime Achievement Award. Now we have on December 10th, Oki at Cars got their second international victory. Apple of My Eye, Harold Berry, got his third international victory.
Good for you.
And Keto Man 335 won the LPP event, so he can contact Jim at rec.poker for his free month at Learn Pro Poker.
In fact, let me tell you something. So that's Kian Tavicoli, who's a fantastic guy. He's been a long-time member here at Rec Poker. I got a message from him yesterday, or I guess this morning, I guess shortly after he'd won, saying that he was pleased to win the tournament, but he's already a lifetime member of LPP, and he'd like to gift the free month to the runner-up, Johnny Quattro. He put up a valiant fight. Happy holidays, my friend. So That's from Kian. Isn't that ever the gentleman? When he's not out there barefoot stomping the grapes in the barrels, which is how I understand they do it out on the West Coast there. He's just given away months from Learn Pro Poker. So listen, Johnny Quattro, I will send you a message in the website, because that's one of the ways that we can get in touch with everybody who plays in the home game club. That's why we make you sign up for a community account, so that we can notify you about your prizes and things like that. But if you're listening, send me an email, jim@rec.poker. You've earned a free month at Learn Pro Poker, and you are going to love it. Thanks, John.
And as Jim already said, the 17th, this coming weekend, or those of you who are listening from the podcast feed last weekend or before, we have the Heads Up tournament playing. And on the 21st, those of you who are eligible for the No Limit Hold'em Series Tournament of Champions, be sure you sign up for that and play in that.
And that's so just go ahead.
Last Saturday, didn't we have something happen last Saturday or last Wednesday? I mean, there was a big event that happened.
But we don't need to talk. Nobody wants to do that. Come on. Nobody wants to talk about this.
This is the Rec Poker podcast. We need to cover it. We need to give him.
Let's do that off the air. We'll just let people kind of like roll it up. They'll understand. All right. Make it up in their head.
You're gonna have to do it, Rob. You're gonna have to do it, I think.
Taylor Moss accomplished a feat that last year, I guess Steve Fredlin did, which is make it to the Player of the Year in the No Limit Hold'em series. So, congratulations, Taylor.
Congrats, Taylor. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
We were all rooting against you, but congratulations.
I forget to put that in my home game summary here, so I was just going right past that. That's really important. And I want to also have it be known that he is currently also in the lead for the mixed game Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And no one thus far has won both in the same year.
Oh, great. Is he going to be another first at something? We're never going to hear the end of it, guys.
He did win the very first No Limit Hold'em series back in 2019. I think at that point in time, computers were just black and white and horse drawn. But
I think there was like 2 players, right? There was like 2 players. One of them was drunk and one of them was Taylor.
Yeah, you're right. I was the other player.
Yeah. No, but all kidding aside, Taylor is fueled by our hate, and that's why we continue to bring this high level of enthusiasm to the podcast here. But yeah, very impressive, Taylor, who's clearly just one of the better poker players here at Rec Poker. I think we all agree with that, and well deserved. He was the winner of the very first Player of the Year's race back in 2019, and he is officially the Player of the Year for 2022. He won more points than anybody. Rob Washam was so close to catching him. Rob, I think you had to place second on Wednesday to beat him, and you ended up placing fourth. So it was a real sweat. And there were a number of other people that were right in that realm. Some real killers. If people check out the points winners in John's results post, you'll see kind of like a who's who of rec poker in that top group, and they'll all be duking it out next Wednesday on the 21st, right, John? That's the championship match where we're taking the 12 monthly winners and then the remaining points winners to get to the top 24 seats that'll fill that tournament.
And I have heard this. I've heard that Taylor wants to make sure that Steve maintains his trophy about being the only person to win both the Player of the Year and the Tournament of Champions. The Taylor's not even going to play the Tournament of Champions. So this is your turn. Anyone else can come in and try to sweep that title right there.
True. Good point. And I think we're only kind of joking. I think Taylor actually has a conflict that night, and he will not be able to play. So it is wide open. Steve Fredlin last year, John's referencing, won the Player of the Year race, and then he also won the championship at the end of the year, which is really, really crazy. Taylor's going to have to put a different two-piece together for this one, being the No Limit Hold'em Player of the Year, and then also if he can sneak out a good result on Wednesday this week, it is the final mixed game Player of the Year points race game on the second Wednesday of the month. And I'm just looking in the chat here. It looks like MN Ted, who's Phil Fuhrer, he can catch him. He's only 4 points away, but he's the only one that can catch Taylor in the points race for the mixed game Player of the Year race. So it's no sure thing. 4 points is not a lot of points. And I know Phil is a very talented mixed game player. But it would be very impressive. It would be very impressive for Taylor to pull that off. And Taylor, don't tell anyone, but I'm rooting for you. I hope you do it. I believe in you. I think you can. God, I hope he doesn't win, though. He's just going to be insufferable if he does. I don't want to have to record any more videos in the booth with this guy's head's already so big. Going to Disneyland, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's already putting in the chat like a Super Bowl champion. Like, what are you going to do next?
Going to Disneyland. I love that. Yeah, Taylor, can't you like play on your phone from Space Mountain? You know, like you're in the mobile app, making your exploitative 3 bets and just
I hear
crushing.
Epcot. All of Epcot has great Wi-Fi.
All right. So I don't think we're going to be able to catch up on all the fantastic chat that we get here in the YouTube. There's been a lot of friendly back and forth in there tonight, but we will go back and look in the food bank order here. So, Chris, are you going to be the official die roller so that people don't think
I've got my die?
Ones?
If you're ready to tell me when to do it.
Okay. So
you've been officially relieved of duty after the.
It sounds like it.
Suspicious.
the one debacle that has been this year so far. That amazing video from Eric. I love that. All right. Well, I've got Charles is the first one, then Merv, then Mary, then the RRRCCC, then Roger, Josh. Who else we got in here? Maybe that's it. Looks like 6. You get to roll a boring old 6-sider. Is that what you see as well, Chris? Is that the right?
Hold on. I gotta step away real quick. I gotta get my 6-sider. It's right behind me. Hold on.
Okay. What color is the die? Oh no, we got a 7. No, Chris, don't do it. We got a 7. Oh, we got an 8. All right, Jack and Eric have added their names in late. I think he might have unplugged his headset. So there was. No, Charles, I think they revoked it because it wasn't. You want the one.
All
spot.
right.
Hey, no, Chris, we did. We got Jack and Eric threw their names in.
Oh, now we. Oh, okay. So we need the 10-sider now, huh?
We need the 10. And now I just want to make sure. Charles said there was someone before him, so I want to make sure we don't screw this up here.
I don't think so. No, that was me just telling everyone.
Okay. Because we're not bamboozling anyone. I don't care what Phil says. This is a strictly run game with the highest level of scrutiny and rigor.
All right. And so we're rolling for 8 people, right?
Yes. And while Chris has a red die, I will tell you, Harvey, yes, most of my dice are yellow. As a good old Steelers fan, it just happens. But that's the 10 banger. Is that what we're looking at, Chris?
It's a 10 banger. I'll tell you what, we can't roll a 1. If we roll a 0 or a 1, I'm re-rolling.
Okay.
And we'll count down. There you go.
Love it. Let's do it.
Here we go.
All right. It's always a 1.
A 6. So that makes it
you rolled a 6 last time.
Did it? No, I didn't.
It's always a 6.
It's always a 6 with Chris. God, when are we going to roll something that's not a 6?
So 6
Chris?
is actually a 5.
Rigged.
6 is actually the 5th person then.
Rigged. Is it the 5th or the 7th? Wait a second. I'm all confused now.
No, because I took out the 1.
Okay.
So
your story
5th.
checks out. All right, fine. So that was Charles Merv. This is great audio for our listeners.
I think it's Roger.
Mary. Yeah, Roger Schutte, the man himself. I love Roger Schutte. Roger is a premium member, and like since way back, we got to hang out down in Las Vegas at the Rec Poker House a little while ago. And our careful listeners will know Roger helps out a lot with the post production for the podcast, putting our audio stuff together and adding imaging and that kind of thing. So it's only fair that Roger get to claim a prize here. So there's a few prizes that we give out every week on the show here. So if you're not a Rec Poker Premium member, you've got a choice. You can either get a month of Rec Poker Premium, or you can get a seat in our flagship learning event every month, which is the Deep Dive Seminar with Chris Jones. So Chris runs this. It's on Poker Now, which is a fantastic program, a platform where you can play with your friends for free. It has the technical ability for Chris to play with God mode, see everyone's cards while everyone else can only see their own cards. And so what we do is we play a series. We play about an hour and a half based around the theme of the month. Chris records all that, and then he puts together a presentation breaking down some of the mistakes that players made while playing, some of the things that people did well, some other gameplay that's illustrative of the theme of the month. And then we tap in Dara O'Carney, the one and only, and he spends his time every month running a hand or two through a solver and providing his own analysis. So if you're a community member and you win the prize that month, that week on the podcast, you can get yourself one of 9 seats in this Chris Jones run flagship deep dive seminar, which we do every month. So I hope you get a chance to check that out. Roger, you are already a Rec Poker Premium member, so you get to sit in this thing every month. So I hope you get a chance to take advantage of that. And the only other thing I will say is that you could, because you're already a premium member, you could choose to apply that $15 prize towards any coaching offers from anyone on the Rec and Crew. And if you go to rec.poker/crew, you can meet a lot of the people that are offering coaching there and see if there's anything that you like. You've got $15 off. So enjoy that, Roger, and thank you so much for all your support here. I see that
I have some breaking
news.
Yes.
Yes.
PokerStars game servers are currently undergoing maintenance.
Oh boy.
So tonight is our normal home game as well as the Tournament of Champions. It says that's usually 120 minutes or less. I'll keep an eye on when the servers come back up, and if the games have gone away, I will try to schedule them and get them going as soon as possible. But just to let the people who are listening live know, that is what is going on.
Wow, what a great time to choose for that, PokerStars. We run these. This is the Tournament of Champions. We run it once a month. They had to pick this for their maintenance time, but they were gonna bug somebody. So I'll take a note from Jason Sue and empathize. I'm sure they weren't just picking on us for it, but that stinks. Okay, maybe
most of their clientele is in Europe, so they're doing it at an off time for them, which is not an off time for us.
Good point. All right. Well, is there anything else that we should mention coming up? I'll just say again, please don't show up on December 26th expecting a podcast. We will not be having a show that night because people are going to be spending it with their families or traveling or however they spend the holidays. And John, in case people are listening right now, if we are unable to hold it at the planned time, are we going to try it later tonight, or will we try and reschedule another time this week? Do you have a leaning in mind at this point?
I think I'll try to hold it. So the normal nightly game, if that doesn't go, we'll just skip it.
Yeah.
I'll still schedule one if we get one going. If the tournament is being canceled, the Tournament of Champions has been canceled, we'll go for next week.
Okay, next Monday.
If it starts up and just starts okay, then it'll go. In other words, if PokerStars runs it, we'll run it.
Okay.
If PokerStars doesn't run it, then we'll go next week.
All right, so if you're listening live and you're in the Tournament of Champions, show up for it like normal, and otherwise we'll probably get some communication out to the people that qualified for it, telling them when we will reschedule it. All right. Well, that sounds really good. Thanks to everyone in the chat tonight. We had a really good rapport going. A lot of fun people chipping in their thoughts in the chat there, which puts a smile on my face, and everyone here at the Wrecking Crew for sure. I want to thank Jason Sue for doing a great job bringing some light to our show here. Of course, I got to thank Chris and John and Rob and Ben for joining me here in the booth. I have to thank Mark Bershon and the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino for their support. And everyone in the YouTube chat and you, the listeners. We couldn't do it without you, and you mean the world to us. So happy holidays, and thanks for coming in. See you next week.